The topic that I have chosen for seminar presentation is development of speaking skills for Indian students. So before going into the speaking skills, okay, to enhance the English language, okay, so that first one should want to know about the position of English in the contemporary world. Why its English is important, and why we want to improve speaking skills in English. Okay, so this is the thing is important. I have listed out a few points in this slide. Okay, so why English is so important, and what is the position of English? Okay, that is the thing is important. Okay, global language. Okay, so that globally, English is one of the accepted language by everyone. Okay, so that if we go to any countries, okay, so that through English you can manage. Okay, so that's why we call the one and only language as a global language. Globally, it is being accepted. Okay, so that if we go to any rural areas, sometimes it may be not worked out. Okay, English may be not worked out, but at the same time, globally, it is being accepted. Wherever we go, we can manage through this English. Okay. Secondly, the language of the internet. Okay, so that research says 85% of the websites are only in English. Okay, so that few research says that 85% of websites are only in English. Okay, so that the language of internet, okay, it masters the internet. Okay, English language masters the language of the internet. Okay, so that probably everyone when they used to Google it. Okay, so that common language it should be there as a English. Okay, so we call it as a language of the internet. Okay. Language of connectivity. Okay, so that it connects with the first point, global language. Okay, the language of the connectivity. We can make a good relationship with anyone in and around the world. Okay, so that it connects people. Okay, so that we can easily connect the people through English language. Okay. Next, the language of career prospects. Okay, so that sure. You can clear TOEFL or IELTS or whatever thing that you can easily go through it. Okay, so that wherever you go, there are lot of academy and a lot of tests has been conducted for this particular language. Okay, so that we can, if you have writing skills, okay, so that you can go through in any of the media. Okay, so that newspaper medium is longing for English people. Okay, so that who writes English in a better way. Okay, so that it gives the career prospects. Okay, language of career prospects. Okay, and the world standard language. Okay, so that it has some standard. Okay, so that it's used to accept everything. Okay, so that's why we call the English as a standard language. Okay, flexible language. Okay, so that it accepts everything. Okay, so that if a word that derived from Latin, Greek, Italy, or Tamil, or Marathi, or Hindi, or whatever thing that it accepts it. Okay, so that it accepts a lot of things. Okay, so that that we call as a world standard language. Okay, the language of youth culture. Okay, so that majority of the youth they used to speak in English to attract others. Okay, so that if I speak English, just I can attract others, and few more abbreviation or few more words that has been trending means just due to the younger generation. Okay, so that the language of youth culture. Okay, so that everybody have a fond of using English language. Okay, and the last one is that the language of the future. Okay, so that it's one of the thing that it has a future. Okay, so that every language is has having a future. Okay, no doubt about it. But same time, we have to give much more importance to English language. Okay, it has an future. Yeah, these are all a lot of positioning has been there, but I have listed out an important position of English in the contemporary world. Now we can move on to the topic. Okay, this is one of the common scenario that everyone we used to find it difficult. Okay, so the barriers of speaking. What are the problem that we face while we speak? Okay, so that I am talking about it. Okay, so first one, inferior complex. Okay, so that in Tamil we used to say it as a Thalnu Manapanmai. Okay, so that inferior complex. Okay, so that if one who speaks well, we used to have fear. Okay, so that he's good at speaking. Okay, so this is what the mentality that they set up in their mind. Okay, so that it has to be overcome. The inferior complex has been overcome. Okay, and bad psychological cholesterol. Okay, so that I won't involved in anything. Okay, so that I have meant it to kid. Okay, the word like cholesterol. Okay, so that anybody you don't take it as a serious one. Okay, bad psychological cholesterol. I won't involve in any activity. I won't do anything. Okay, so that I won't speak English, but I want to speak English everywhere. Okay, so that I want to speak, but I won't involve in any activity. Okay, so that bad psychological, bad mindset of oneself. Okay, lack of confidence. Okay, so that I cannot do it. Okay, so that if I am going to speak in front of our friends or in front of the class or in front of the audience. Okay, so that I don't have any confidence. Okay, so that because I lack everything. Okay, so that that's one of the point. Okay, lack of listening. Okay, so if we can't read or write, we cannot get anything because speaking is one of the primal skill for other skills. Okay, so that we usually call the term as LS or W: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Okay, so here from my vantage point, I always used to say that speaking is a primal skill. Okay, so that whenever we go, speaking is needed. Okay, so that moreover than for speaking, other skills are needed. Okay, so that especially listening, reading, writing, these are all the skills are needed. Okay, so the lack of listening, without listening, one who cannot be a good speaker. Okay, so that I used to say this statement. Okay, next, lack of vocabulary. Okay, so without words we cannot speak. Okay, so that it's one of the things that everyone knows. Okay, so that it's not for English language. Okay, so that whatever language without words we cannot speak. Okay, so that we cannot communicate with others. Okay, so that we cannot make a good communication. Okay, so that because due to words we used to have a fundamental communication with others. Okay, so that lack of vocabulary. Okay, and last thing is that if you want to become a good speaker, okay, so that you should not be lack on content. Okay, so that content should be there, the matter. Okay, so that what we are going to speak. Okay, matter should be there. Okay, so these are all the things are comes under the barriers of speaking. Okay, so that I have listed out the main points of the problems of speaking. Okay, and I have suggested three or formula for this barriers. Okay, so that when we want to overcome the problem or when we want to overcome the barrier, we have to do or we have to follow this formula. Okay, so that I used to say as 3R formula. Okay, so what is mean by 3R? Okay, so that I have listed out in the PowerPoint presentation: receive, recall, reproduce. Okay, so that what we want to receive and what we should recall and what we want to produce it. Okay, so these are all the 3 points that we can easily overcome uh, the problems of speaking. Okay, so first one, receiving. Okay, so that without information you cannot speak. Okay, that's the thing that I have told. Okay, so the lack of listening, lack of content, we cannot speak. Okay, so that we have to receive lot of information. Okay, that's one of the primal thing. Okay, so that we have to receive lot of information. Okay, so then what way I can receive? Okay, so especially newspaper, watching television, watching movies, listening to English songs. Okay, so that whatever thing, reading books. Okay, so these are all the things that you can easily get a lot of information. You can receive. Okay, you can receive a lot of information. Okay, so that without information, one who cannot speak. Okay, so that receiving is important. Okay, so that receiving from any platform. Okay, so that you should receive. Okay, so that receiving is one of the primal pattern for the 3R formula. Okay, so that receive. Okay, so after receiving this information, what do you want to do? Okay, secondly, recall. Okay, so that whenever uh, you want to improve a language, and especially English language, okay, so that you have to recall it. Okay, so that what I'm going to present or what I'm going to share. Okay, so that what are the points that I'm going to list out for my presentation, you have to recall. Without recalling, you cannot speak. Okay, so these are all the points that I'm going to share with my students. These are all the points that I'm going to share with the audience. Okay, so these are all the things that you should recall it in your mind. Okay, so that not only receiving the information, you have to recall it. Okay, so that it's an important thing. Okay, so that if you don't recall, surely you will forget it. Okay, so that you have to recall. Okay, and lastly, reproduce. Okay, so that this is what you are going to present it. Okay, so that if you present, you can give a lot of information to others. Okay, so that you have received and you have recalled and you have reproduced. Okay, so that you have produced to the audience or you produced to the students. Okay, so that reproduce is the important one. Okay, so that how we are going to make our communication better to the audience or students. Okay, so that we the teachers, we don't find any difficulty by reproducing. Okay, so that since when we were started our teaching profession, okay, so that we used to take class for an hour. Okay, so that first at the first stage we used to find difficult to reproduce the content or matter. Okay, so that about a particular thing. Okay, so apart from that, nowadays if you have a good experience. If you have a good experience in the classroom context, we can easily reproduce it. Okay, it's not a important thing. Okay, so that receiving is important, receiving the information is important, and recalling the information important, and reproducing the information is important. You have to do a perfect thing through this formula. Okay, it's called as a 3R formula. Okay, next, what are the effective ways for speaking skills? Okay, so that there are a lot of effective ways are there, but I have selected only one. Okay, what is that? Okay, so that conversation. Okay, so that conversing with others. Okay, so that it's one of the simplest step that I used to say. Okay, so to communicate effectively. Okay, so that in what way we can communicate effectively means through a starting stage and a simple way. Okay, so that through that we can converse. Okay, conversation is one of the best method I used to suggest to everyone to improve speaking skills. Okay, so conversing with others. Okay, so that saying good morning, sir. The other people will say. Okay, so that these are all the conversation you can start at first. Okay, so that greeting itself, it's an important one. Okay, saying good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Okay, so that this is also one of the important one that we used to follow. Okay, so that when we greet others. Okay, so that sometimes some people they used to say instead of good morning, they used to say as good afternoon. Okay, so these are all the problems that we seen uh, in the present scenario. Okay, so the conversation is one of the best thing that we can follow it. Okay, so in what way a student can improve? Okay, so that or in what way teacher can improve at the starting stage. Okay, so that I have listed a few conversation topics. Okay, so that we usually communicate with others. Okay, so that it's not a big thing. Okay, so that when we converse with others, okay, so that we can improve our speaking skills. Okay, so that I have listed out a few conversation topics. Okay, so that two friends meeting after a long time. Okay, so that it's a situation that we should practice it. Okay, so the two friends meeting after a long time. Okay, so that what the friends will speak if they meet after a long time. They used to say good morning, and how are you? Okay, and how about your family, and what about your studies, and what's your where do you come from, what's your native place. Okay, so these are all the things that they used to talk about, and a lot of conversation has been communicated. Okay, they converse a lot of things with others. Okay, it's not a doubt about it. Okay, so that, and this is one of the best examples I can suggest. Okay, so that who can follow to improve speaking skills. Okay, so that planning for a trip. Okay, so that what are the things that we should do, sharing happy moments. Okay, so these are all the things that we used to converse in our own mother tongue. Okay, so that it's not difficult to share this kind of situation in mother tongue. Okay, so that we used to communicate with others. Okay, we are very fluent to communicate with others in our mother tongue. Okay, so if we concentrate more on it, okay, so that surely we can improve this kind of things. Okay, so that favorite food and dishes. Okay, so that most visited places, ambition in your life, interesting movie that you like. Okay, so these are all the things that you can easily improve for the speaking skills. Okay, so that for that purpose we have to being an active participation, and active participation is needed, and a lot of involvement is needed. Okay, so that activity. Okay, so these are all the things that I used to say as an activity. Okay, so that if you exercise this kind of conversation or conversing with others, okay, that we can easily improve the second language named English. Okay, so that for us, majority of the people, they used to say as English as a second language. Okay, so that it's a medium of instruction. Okay, so that there is no doubt about it. Okay, so that even lot of things has been there only in English. Okay, there is no doubt about it. Okay, so that if we follow this kind of steps, surely we can improve. Okay, so that it's no doubt about it. Okay, so it's about the conversation topic. Okay, and thank you.